back to the Community Freedom Summit, and Kwami is one of our people that we're so excited to be talking to today. He is actually a vital part of Not for Sale, and he's actually a survivor too of human trafficking. So Kwami, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
For being here today, and you know how much we love you. I have to say that right off the bat. We love Kwami, and your story has to be heard. And we just are going to ask you now if you would just mind sharing a little bit about who you are and what's happened.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Kwami. I am a victim and a survivor of human traffic. I'm not just any kind of human traffic, but slavery. I'm a true survivor of that. I spent nearly 6 years of my life captive by a good friend of mine, a family friend that brought me to the U.S. And for nearly 6 years, he starved me, beat me, used me as his own personal slave, and worked for him constantly, 24/7. Just everyday life became such a fear of mine that I can't open my eyes just to see the beauty anymore. Everything I see becomes such a evil in my eyes, and I became so bitter about the culture that I lived in and people I'm around, and due to that reason, there was a point in my life where when I was getting ready to be free, I still feel that sense of going back to where I'll start from again, and I can feel in myself that I'm not free yet, and during the process of 6 years of my being a captive by this horrible man, there was a point I wanted to take my own life, but due to a fine light, there was just a voice in my head telling me never to do that. And
praise God.
Yes, yeah. God was talking to me. He was in my ear all the time telling me not to do that. Don't do it. There's a light in the tunnel. And so, yeah, there was a light, and I was saved. And I'm here because of God, and I'm happy that I'm living a good life right now. And it's amazing to look back at my life and say, how did I get here?
Yeah. Kwami, your story, I mean, you've shared it with me, and it impacts me every time. So I'm not going to promise I'm not going to cry, because Kwami has this thing. When you share what you've walked through, it's so hard to listen to those details. I do think it's important, though, if you can share a little bit more specifics with our community, because a lot of people just don't understand how people can get caught up in trafficking. So if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
What country were you from before you came here?
Oh, great question. I was born in Togo. It's a small country in Africa. It's not West Coast. It's surrounded by Ghana, Benin, Nigeria. That's all my neighbors right there. It's a small country right on the Atlantic Ocean, on the equator, hot all year long, always 80 degree. Beautiful place. Love it. It's my home place. It's my home. It's my first home. The U.S. is my second home.
Sure.
I love that place. That's what I grew up in. I came here when I was 11. I was brought here by a family friend, a good friend of my dad's, to the U.S.
And let's talk about that.
Yes.
Because that's a pivotal piece. We've talked all morning to our audience about sometimes traffickers can be people that you know.
Definitely.
They're not always going to be strangers. They can be, a lot of times they are people that you actually know. So when you said you were brought over here from a family friend, would you ever imagine that this person really wasn't a friend? I mean, like, how did that process even begin with him asking, did he ask your parents, can I, provide a better life for your kids? Like, what was that conversation like?
Great question. When I was back in Togo, my family, we didn't have the means to put me to school. We don't have a free public education in my country. So, every little we make, we use to pay for education. So, my dad never went to school. My mom didn't go to school either. So, and my siblings, we are all struggling. We are farmers. So, my dad, his friend, who his name is Kojo, he promised him that he would bring me to the U.S. I would get education. So my dad was happy. My whole family was happy.
Sure.
I was happy. Who wouldn't want?
Sure.
Who wouldn't want that? You know.
Yeah.
My dad. That's what my dad wanted from me. So I said yes, I would do it. So he agreed to let me come to the U.S. with his own best friend, a friend that he knows growing up.
Wow.
Never imagined, not in my million years, I would know that this would happen. He didn't know. Nobody knows this would happen. But my trafficker knows what he was planning to do. It's
So your dad literally knew him for a long time.
Yeah, they
so
grew up
there
together.
was trust built.
Yeah.
There was a relationship built. And of course, you know, with that trust being built, your father felt comfortable.
Definitely.
To
I was
let you,
comfortable
was it
too.
just you that came over, or
No,
did you have
there were-
siblings?
There were three other kids that came with me. I don't know who they were. We all brought together.
Oh, okay.
We all live in the same village, same country, same place. So it was kind of what he did is called claiming asylum. It's the term that used in the law part of the system, legal
sure.
part of system. So he claimed asylum on basically saying that we are his kids. So he formed a family out of kids that are from the same area, kid that he knows, you know. So he knows our parents. So he created us and make us his own kids, and then he brought us here. Yeah.
Okay, so let me interject a bit, because that's a key thing that you just said. So what was that legal term?
Asylum.
Asylum.
Yes.
And so he was able to either
File for-
falsify or like how does
Yes.
that happen?
Yes, it's a falsified document that he did right here in the U.S.
Wow.
Yes. So basically, what I'm saying is that is a loophole in our system that he was able to find there, and then he used it to his advantage. Yes.
So was that was never checked out? That was never qualified as like, are these really his children? It was just a document that was signed and very easily transported into our country?
Yes. Everything about me was changed. My document about me, all my identity was changed. I had different identity. Like when I came to the U.S.,
Wow.
my name was changed, my birthday was changed. Everything about me was different. Like I was brand new person was created when I came to the U.S. Everything about me before was like gone.
So that's definitely a loophole
Yes.
that we've got to work through.
Definitely.
Is when people are being brought into our country, we have to check documents. We have to
Always,
verify
always. Yes.
who they are, who they belong to, especially when it comes to children. So here we have a man that is not related to you at all, that is claiming that you're his child.
Yep.
Did I understand that
That's
correctly?
correct. That's correct.
Okay, my mind is blown. And I'm sure our community is feeling the same way. Wow. So you're brought over here, and what happened once you arrived here? You were brought under the false pretenses that you were
Yes.
going to get an amazing education.
Definitely.
So then what transpired after that?
After like a year into being here, things changed for the worse. I mean, this man wouldn't take us to like any appointment. He wouldn't do anything. We wouldn't do anything basically without him being there. Like he was.
So he would talk for you.
He does everything for us. Like nobody else. We go to hospital, he does all the talking. We go to eat, he's there. He is everywhere we go.
Wow.
All time. There was never a time in my life that I was with this trafficker of mine that
That you were by yourself. There was just never a time.
never. There was
So
never a time.
what was it like? How did he get you involved in the school systems? Like, what
Like
was
I
that
said,
process like?
We have the system is so broken. It's so there's so much loophole in our system. Yes.
Yes.
He was able to enroll us into
Wow.
school. I know, isn't that crazy?
It is. 3 kids that are not even his.
Yeah, there was actually 4 of us plus me
4,
is 4.
okay.
Yeah, 2 girls and 2 boys. 4 of us. He enrolled us into school.
So, what was life like
Oh.
living with him day in and day out? I know you said it was a 6-year trial, obviously, that you walked through, but what was that like? Just so the audience can understand a little bit about that
Yes.
emotional piece. if
Yes,
you don't
definitely.
mind.
My typical day start at 5 in the morning.
Okay.
I wake up bright early in the morning. I had to be around the table. We have a round table that we had to say that. We had to studying. We had to study at 5 o'clock. Like that's like time stamp. You have to
Okay.
be there 5
Yeah.
o'clock a.m. If you don't show up, you are in trouble. And from 5 until we leave for school, everything's okay. That's when I feel at peace. Going to school is like my safe
That was your safe place.
Safe haven for me. I feel like I can show it some kind of emotion at that point. Like that's when I feel I can be myself for like just a little bit, not a whole lot, because I don't want people to know about me. I don't want people to know who I am, where I come from, and what's going on home. Because that's something that he makes sure that we never tell anybody. Because
so he put that fear in you to not ever discuss it. So again, that mind manipulation, that grooming, that was going on.
Oh, everything was happening at the same time, yes.
So how did it come about that a teacher got involved to help save you? Like, what was that process like?
That process was, it was a hell. Sorry for my language, but it was a hell. She noticed one day that I would go to school. It's September, it was 6th grade, I just started 6th grade, and it was middle of September, it's hot. I go to school with a sweat on. Covered,
yeah.
Sit in a corner, like, well, all the kids are like in the fronts and having fun. I'm like in the corner, just covered up and not saying anything to anybody, just in my own space, like zoned out. I don't even know half the time what I was doing. I just know I'm not engaged.
Yeah.
This kept going on for a long time, and eventually she just kept on noticing things and documenting things. And she said, enough is enough. So she came to me and said, what's going on? I mean, I already know I don't want to talk to her because that's a fear that I was already given the false idea that if I tell somebody what's happening at home, I'll be deported or I'll be beaten until I can't walk, because that's what happened. So I said, everything's okay.
Yeah.
And you also have to understand, English is my third language, so it wasn't very good either at that time. So she never gives up.
I love that.
She just keep on coming day in, day out. How are you? How are you? Just the little conversation that she was having with me shows that she cares.
Yeah, praise God.
That's all I needed.
That she actually listened to that instinct, listened to that discernment that she had.
Definitely.
To start asking that question. But it all came from her watching.
Yes.
She was watching you. She saw the signs that something just wasn't right.
Definitely.
And she listened to her intuition.
Yes, and that was beautiful. And I'm glad she did.
So eventually you shared a part of your story.
I did.
And then what happened from there? Like, how did you get out of that horrific environment?
The first time I shared, let me just take a step back. The first time I shared with her what happened, in our system, school system, any system, we don't know a whole lot about human traffic. So I'm glad we are doing something now to educate the public and everybody around us. So back then, she didn't have the education she needed to know if it's a human traffic or if it's whatever it is. She doesn't know that. So what she knows best to do is report what happened, what I said to her. So she did. She reported to the counselor. The counselor then went behind me, tell the Department of Human Service, and they come in and they interview us. Let me tell you, that day when I went home, I came to school, I couldn't sit on the chair. I was beaten. This guy got drunk. Because what happened is that when the Department of Human Service came and talked to me and all the other 3 kids, they went behind us and talked to our trafficker, which his name is Kojo. We specifically told them not to do that.
Oh, wow.
And they went behind us and did that.
Wow.
Let me tell you, home that day feels like, I didn't think I was going to make it out of that day. It was just horrendous. Like, he was drunk. He was just beating us with whatever he had. He used his hand, his bare hand. He used wires. He used anything he could get his hands on that day on us.
Wow. I'm sorry.
I
told you this could be hard to talk about. I'm sorry.
I would never forget that day.
Yeah.
It's something that embedded in my head is forever will always be there. And so, yeah. But yeah, moving forward from there, my teacher and I continue to talk, and I have a problem with trust stuff with, so I really try not to open up a lot of myself to her. So I keep on holding back a lot of details that's happening at the house, and I'm
sure.
just telling her what I want her to hear, because I'm scared that if I tell her everything that is happening, I'll continue to get beaten, and eventually I won't get to see my family, because that's a fear that he put in my life, that if I tell anybody, I'll be deported. I won't get to see my parents ever again. So I'm already scared of my life. I'm already brainwashed. Down, like brainwashed to the point where like I'm scared to talk about my past, to talk about what's happening in the house.
Absolutely.
In the moment, in that 6-year span that I was with him. But thank to the Lord, thank to God that He He has a plan for me.
Amen.
And that plan was that he was going to use that teacher of mine, that 6th grade teacher, her name is Vicky, that she will be my advocator, that she will help me overcome this, and she never gives up on the situation, and she continued from 6th grade to 7th grade to 8th grade.
Wow.
She was there. She was helping me all the way. I need something, she's there. I'm hungry, I go to her. I need a clothes, I go to her.
Praise God for her.
She provided home. She provided me something. She provided that sense of belonging, that sense of family, that sense of like, I'm going to help you.
Absolutely.
Okay, you are a human being.
Yeah.
Okay, not a thing that I need to be used. Like, that's what I was doing. That's what my trafficker was doing. He's just using me for his own gain.
Yeah.
But my teacher see me as a human person.
She saw you. Yeah.
And she said, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
And she did.
And praise God for that.
Yes.
And we're so grateful. Gosh, Kwami, your story gets me every time. And because I think the important thing I would love the community to understand is that trafficking is real, and we are dealing with real human beings.
Yes.
This isn't just a term to use, trafficking and labor trafficking. These are people's lives, people that are getting abused. And so it is so important for us to keep that in the forefront of everything that we do, that we just make sure that we take that stand for those people. If it wasn't for that teacher, where would you be?
I'd probably be on the street.
Yeah, or maybe not even here.
I'd probably be dead or something. I don't something I don't want to think about that, but I know for a fact if it wasn't for that teacher, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have gone to school like my dad's promised me to do. I wouldn't completed that dream that my dad had for me. I wouldn't have completed that, and I was able to do it because of that teacher. Yes.
Kwami, we are just so grateful for your story. We're
Thank
grateful. We're sorry that you even have to have this kind of story. But I'm thankful that God is using this story to empower you and to empower all of us how not to be trafficked. And if we do see that somebody's being trafficked, what we can do to help prevent that.
Definitely.
So we love you.
Oh,
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
This is a great cause.
You know, Kwami's going to keep sharing his story. He's going to keep fighting the fight with us, and we have more to come in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the Community Freedom Summit. It's been such a great day today, filled with wonderful leaders in our industry that are making a difference right here in our community. And so now we have another amazing leader, Miss Patti Hostetler. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Patti runs the Hannah's House, located right here in our community, and she's just going to share a little bit about Hannah's House and what you guys do.
Awesome. I'd love to share.
I know you do.
Well, we incorporated in 2013, so we're still fairly young as an organization, about 7 years in. Our vision is that all young women have the support and resources that are necessary to grow physically, emotionally, and spiritually into healthy adults. So our mission, how we do that, is by mentoring. So we're mentoring right now in the Stark and Carroll counties. We're helping young women be able to grow their social and emotional assets and really encouraging them to rise above their circumstances. So that's really where our name comes from, actually. 1 Samuel chapter 1 and chapter 2, there's a young lady named Hannah.
Yes.
And she is in a situation she can do nothing about. She can't help herself really in any way, very much in despair. So she does the only thing that she knows how to do, and that's to cry out to her God. And so she does. So in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 19, which is where Hannah's house 119 comes from, it says, and the Lord remembered her. And so he was a part of helping her to rise above her circumstance. And that's the hope that we want to be able to give our girls. Now, we want to meet their physical needs. We want to meet their emotional needs. But when we build relationship with them, when we're that one more caring adult in their life, we're able to gain their trust in a way that we can share our story and what God has done for us to help us to rise above.
Patti, you have such a heart for service, and I really want people to understand how this all evolved for you with Hannah's house. And it started back when you were a youth leader for a long time.
Yeah. I was a youth pastor at my local church, had been for 20 years working with young people. And years before 2013, I just really felt a call. I was at a ladies' retreat, and there was a young girl who came up on stage, and she talked about a place that kind of was a last resort for her. Everyone's kind of giving up on me, she said. But it was a natural home environment for her, and it made the difference, to be a part of a family and to feel loved and accepted, and it turned her life around. She was a success because she had more support in her life that really cared about her and made her know her worth and her value. So I, in 2013, felt that it was time, it was God's timing, and started doing needs analysis in Stark County. And realized that as I stepped into schools, there was a huge need there for more support for young people. Absolutely. And was invited onto the Human Trafficking Task Force because they needed mentors. And the Stark County Family Court and Job and Family Services all started to see what we were doing, and we have received a lot of referrals from them and have been able to, be the key to some girls' success because they had that one more caring adult in their life.
I love that. That has been the running theme of our whole day and time together, is just networking and team building. Yeah. It takes all of us to truly help somebody overcome whatever they're walking through, but it takes a team of people.
Right.
And I love that that's the premise of Hannah's house. I know you guys have different programs that you offer. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, our piece that we bring, we feel, is prevention.
Yes.
So we have a couple different ways we do that. One is in schools. So we build partnerships with school districts, and we go into their community and find volunteers in their communities so that when the young girls that they're working with in the school go into their communities, they feel connected. They feel, awesome. Again, like they have that one more person that they're connected to. And that's an asset. And so we're building relationship, usually 2 mentors to 6 to 8 girls sitting in a circle. Again, first and foremost, building that relationship. And then once that happens, they can talk to them about good communication skills and healthy relationships and working on their self-esteem. And of course, we teach all of our girls about human trafficking.
For sure.
So we have that piece, but we also do that very same thing at our locations in Canton and East Canton, where any referrals that we receive from any organization, we do that very same thing at our location with them.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
and
that
then,
you guys
of course,
are in the schools.
Yeah, and we have one-to-one mentoring as well.
And as far as with the pandemic, obviously it's affected all of us in many different ways. How has the pandemic affected your organization, and what needs do you have currently?
Yeah, well, like everyone, it's hit us hard.
Yes.
We are a nonprofit, and so we haven't been able to fundraise like we would normally do.
Sure.
So financially, it's hurt us. Volunteers, we have lost some volunteers. They're just either not ready to come back, or they're too vulnerable in their own health situation to be able to come in, to the group setting. And then also for the girls. We are working with a population of girls who already have struggles. And so this has been really hard. And now school's starting, but some of them aren't going back to school. at least full time, and so where they would maybe have those natural supports through teachers or counselors.
Sure.
So their struggle is real, and so our need, to be able to be a voice, invite us in at your church, at your organization. Let us educate you.
Absolutely.
And then also, connect us to those financial partners or those volunteers who can, again, be that one more caring adult in that girl's life.
Absolutely. There's so many ways that we can help you out as an organization, and we just have to be open and aware and make time in our schedule to come in and mentor. But is there a process to becoming a mentor? Is there like teaching that you provide?
There is. Yep. Okay. We do all the training for you so that you feel very equipped.
So you don't have to come in already knowing what to do.
Nope.
That you guys equip us and help us to become those mentors and be able to pour into these young adults. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
With our children, though, we all know that we have human trafficking here, we have labor trafficking here. What are the main reasons why kids are being groomed into trafficking? In your experience, especially dealing with kids for all these years.
Yeah, well, we know because of the demand. If, the demand wasn't there, we wouldn't have this thing called human trafficking. But also, traffickers and predators target our young people, and they have a lot of access to our young people. The FBI reports that at any given time, there are 50,000 predators online with your children.
Oh my gosh, you need to say that again.
Okay,
how many?
So at any given time, 50,000 predators online with our kids. And Kathie, you and I have spoke at places, and we hear, where's the hot spots?
We do.
We hear it all the time. But the hot spot isn't the mall.
Right.
It's not the Strip, although we know we have to be careful in those places.
We do.
But it really is in your homes. It's in your children's bedrooms through technology. So we have to just be so careful.
And when you're working with the youth and working with the young adults, are you educating them on all of this as well, of like how not to be trafficked, and what are you giving them the tools that they need?
Absolutely. We teach them how they hunt and who they're hunting, and the traps that they use. Yeah.
And they use a lot of traps. We talked about that a lot today, the different techniques and tactics that traffickers use, that we have to be aware. We have to be aware of those. How can we as a community, with all the things that you're doing, and obviously with the pandemic, it's affected you, what can we do as a community to step in and to help you in these areas?
Again, give us a voice. Invite us into your organization that we can, tell what we're doing and how you can help, how you can support us. And again, you hear about trafficking and people get this image in their mind. They want to go rescue somebody, And when I went to New York to be trained by some of the best, Rachel Lloyd at GEMS, she talked about that. They get volunteers, they want to sign up. But in reality, it's mentoring, it's investing in our young people. You can do that at Hannah's house. We can connect you to young people. But it's out in our communities. When you are going through a drive-through and you have that young person waiting on you, ask them what their name is. Let them know that you're noticing them, that you hear them, that you see them. Even if they're messing up your order, let them know that you appreciate them. There's so many things we can do within a community to build up our young people.
Dealing with young people for so long, and the mentoring that you've personally done and the pastoring that you've personally done, what do you think is one of the main themes or reasons why children are struggling today? Like, why do children need so much validation and where they're vulnerable enough to be trafficked? Like, what are they missing?
Yeah, I would say the key is healthy relationships, lack of. So, the key to having kids with less anxiety and struggles are healthy relationships. So, if we're not listening to our kids and spending time with them, someone will be. And unfortunately, traffickers and predators are really good at what they do, and they know who to target. And when young people are putting out there on social medias, I hate my mom, they know how to target it. When is it my turn for love, they know how to target it.
I think you just said something so important, that when you were mentioning about if we're not listening and investing in our kids, someone will. And when you just got done telling us 50,000 predators. So our poor children, where I think when we grew up, we didn't have that much access.
Right.
I mean, I remember, I did not. But now our kids being opened up to the internet and social media. You know, when we've had bad days growing up, it was just we had a bad day, we talked to a friend or a pastor or our parents. But now these kids just isolate.
Right.
And go right to the phone or right to the internet.
Yeah.
And when you're telling us, and I hope you're hearing this as a community, when you're telling us that if we're not intentional, if we're not listening to our kids, someone's going to.
Absolutely.
And that someone isn't going to have good intentions most of the time.
Right.
They're not going to have good intentions.
Exactly.
Wow, Miss Patti. You've given us such great information, and we as a community, we want to help your organization. So if you could just kind of recap again how we can get involved, how we can help you, and of course we're going to put all your information up as well.
We have a Facebook page, Hannah's House 119, where we're always posting our information nights where you can come learn more about exactly what we do. And then from there you would come to a training and we would plug you in, and we don't just throw you out there. You know, you're going to shadow us, we're going to be in there with you, and we can get you started right away. So I think you have our phone number.
I do.
Okay.
We're going to post all that information right after this segment so people can contact you and get involved. And of
Perfect.
course, you're accepting donations, right?
Absolutely. Always.
We're nonprofits. Of course, we're accepting donations.
Absolutely.
Well, Miss Patti, thank you.
Thank you for
You're
having
such
me.
a gem.
Thanks
I love
for all you
so
do.
much. Thank you. We're just grateful that you're here. We're grateful as a community that we have you here to help us. Welcome back, everybody, to the Community Freedom Summit. We have had such a great morning just discussing all things about human trafficking and labor trafficking. And hopefully you're seeing by now that our community is involved. We are definitely here to make a difference and to take a stand against human trafficking. So this morning, I'm definitely excited to sit here with Pastor Jason Lantz, another new friend, you guys. I told you, I've been meeting new people this morning, which I love. And so this is another new friend that I get to have the pleasure of interviewing today. So welcome, Pastor Lantz.
Thank you so much.
So excited that you're here. And maybe for some that don't know, just share about who you are and what you do in our community.
Yeah, so I'm the vision leader for RiverTree Christian Church.
Okay.
And our big dream is that we would send 20,000 people that wake up every morning and say, Jesus, what are we doing today? And
Wait a minute, he just said 20,000.
Yes, which is bigger
That's
than...
a big number.
Right, but I really believe that God's church is amazing
Amen.
and everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we really just want to be a church that mobilizes people to go for it.
Wow, where did you get 20,000? I love that.
Well, the places that God already allowed us to be, some of
Sure.
our churches,
Sure.
we kind of added up the general population of the communities that we were already in, and that would be one person for every 10 people in those communities. And so I really believe that like you have people that are paid to be pastors, but at the end of the day, we all are God's church.
Amen.
And
Yeah.
there's coaches and teachers and business people and moms and all across the board that are waking up every morning, and God's got a big dream for them. And so,
Oh my gosh, well,
Yeah.
people without vision perish.
Yes.
So I love the fact that you have such a big, bold vision. That's exciting. Well, not only are you a pastor, but you're very involved in the fight against human trafficking. So I would love for you to share about how did you learn about human trafficking?
Yes.
And how did your church get involved?
Yes. So it's been a great journey, and I've learned a ton. Every year at RiverTree Jackson, around Christmas time, we pray and try to give away a special offering on Christmas Eve. outside the walls to a nonprofit or an organization. And this past year, we were praying, and God, right at the perfect time, like he always does, sent us our friends from Rahab and heard about their vision and what they've been doing for years and years, and how God had really put on their heart that they were supposed to now do what they do in Summit County primarily, more in Stark County. And so we just felt like, after a lot of prayer and getting to know them well, that this was just like the perfect fit. And it was awesome. Our church was able to raise over $180,000 in one night. And I just want to say about Rahab, I love I love the spectrum of care that they offer. You know, so every person in every church, I think, wants to play. They just don't know how. And so they've got, people that are out there on the street, praying and meeting people where they are. They've got drop-in centers that are like a crossroads of where women are trafficked, but people can give hygiene items, and they can show up for Bible studies and programs and share family meals and very tangible things like that. And then on this other side of the spectrum, I mean, they're helping people get out of slavery, but totally be restored in the long journey of healing and rehab and getting back in the community. And what I just love about them as we got to know them was that, once again, I really feel like they've helped our church more be the church. And I want our people to do that, and there were so many places where they could jump in.
That is awesome. We just had Kelly on before you, and sharing about the amazing impact that Rahab has in our community. And I love that your church, was there to help them along too. So that's amazing. I think that when we talk about human trafficking, it affects everybody differently.
Right.
But specifically, what do you feel is the church's role in taking that stand against human trafficking?
Well, like I said, I learned a lot from our friends at Rahab, and I've learned a lot on this issue that I didn't know. And one of the things I learned, and I believe this strongly, is, slavery is a network of evil.
It is.
Like, Satan is behind that, and he's using that to destroy people's lives. And so the greatest way to overcome evil is not evil, but more good.
Amen. Yeah.
And I believe that the church is a network of good. And so I really believe that the church's role in this whole thing is to become a network of good that is fighting with Jesus, this network of evil. And it's got to be a network. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's not one church. Like, it's not just RiverTree. It's the church in Stark County. And there's so many amazing churches, but it's each of us learning our part, our identity, our role, and then saying, how are we going to work together so that 1 + 1 = 7, so that we're doing this together. I would also say, like, encouraging people that maybe have more influence as a follower of Jesus than they even know. They're a coach for a team.
Sure.
They see kids every day, the at-risk ones that are online all day, right? Where they could potentially be groomed by people that want to traffic them. Or those coaches are on the front lines. And so instead of just going to practice saying, I'm just a coach, they go to practice with a different mindset, and they're saying, I'm on the front lines of this. Or people that are raising kids that are young right now. Like, how are we looking at that in a way where we are preventing people from being at risk? So I think the network thing.
I love that.
We are a network of good as the church. And I think it's a matter of each person in God's church saying, how am I a part of that network? And then how am I working with the rest of that network?
Well, and I love when you said earlier that we are the church.
Yes.
The church isn't about a building.
That's right.
It's about the people.
That's right.
And if we each do our part, oh my gosh, like, we can change so much.
That's right.
And that's what we're called to do.
That's right.
But at the same time that we're called to be that change, and we're called to be the voice for the voiceless, there seems to be kind of like a weird silence in the faith community when it comes to this specific topic of trafficking. Why, in just your opinion, why do you think that is?
Well, I'm sure that there's lots of reasons, and that people don't jump in or be engaged in something like this. But I think one of them is, and this happened with me too, so I think a lot of it's education. But I think that often with trafficking, we'll see a commercial, we'll see something that's big and out there somewhere, and we don't think that it's here and with people that we might even know. And I think one of the biggest things that we can do as the church is to sit with people that know what they're talking about, that are in it every day, and let them not just educate us
Right.
on the fact that, no, this happens like right here,
Yes,
like
in
in our
Stark County,
backyard,
right here.
in Stark
Yes.
County, like it's happening right now. And I just remember like learning that, like real statistics, real things that are happening, real locations, and thinking, oh my gosh, like this isn't just out there somewhere with those people. This is right here, like in our own backyard, in our own schools,
Right.
with kids that we are around all the time. And that was humble. I mean, just kind of a wake-up call for that. And I think that we don't just need educated theoretically on this issue. I think we need trained by people that know what they're doing, that are in the weeds every day, and then humbly saying, as we learn these things, how can I be a part of it?
Wow, I think that was, you said so much. So I want to unpack a little bit of those nuggets of information, because the first thing you said about we need to be, we are the church. We're not just the building. We are the church. We have to take action.
Yes.
We have to do what we can. When you were bringing up about the coaches and bringing up about teachers and people, I think if we're living our lives intentionally, being aware, walking in awareness, we can see those signs and we can step in and make that call and help that person that could potentially be a victim. But you also talked about having not just the education, but we need tools.
Yes.
We all need the tools. So we
Yes.
may know what's going on,
Yes.
but we don't actually know, well, now that we know, what do we do with it?
That's right.
And that's where groups like our group, Not for Sale, and Rahab, and PAST,
Yes.
and all the other groups that you're going to hear from today, that's where we're key, because we want to come in.
That's right.
We want to share with your church congregation. We want to share with your
Yes.
business or your school, so that not only do you get the education, but you get the tangible tools
Yes.
of what do we do with that.
That's right.
So thank you.
That's right. And when
for bringing
Rahab
that up.
came to our church, that's exactly what they
For
did.
sure, yes.
We had after church, there were lunches,
Yes.
and people that they have on their team that
Yep.
are with at-risk folks all the time, that are fighting this on the front lines. They're sharing real-time stories, they're sharing training, they're sharing tools, they're sharing with people that might have just heard about this.
Right.
Here's exactly how you can start right now. And I think God does the rest.
Yeah,
So
he
the people
does.
in those trainings, like His
Yes.
Spirit's stirring them up, and they're
Right,
thinking,
right.
now that I know this, I can't not do something.
I love that.
You know, so instead of motivation being guilt or, hey, I'll do something if you leave me alone, or it's different, it's more internal, and that's what we saw happen.
Well said. So as we're wrapping up our segment together, because I could honestly talk to you for another hour, to be honest. But as we're wrapping it up, what would be just your final thoughts for us as a community, especially those that are faith-based, whatever faith that you have, religion that you have, what can we do to help fight this?
So first of all, I thank you for what you do with Not for Sale. I would say, if someone's listening to this right now and they want to get involved, like connect with people that are already doing it. You don't have to invent the wheel.
Absolutely, yes.
And ask them, how can I help? I think the second one, though, that's really, it's been a journey for me, and I want to keep going with this. I really believe that we need to learn the theology of God's plan for sexuality.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
Trafficking is the objectification played out of another human being for selfish means.
Right.
But God didn't create sexuality as a bad thing.
Right.
And I think that we need to just learn like God's view of sexuality. So a book that really started me thinking about this, Pope John Paul II's greatest work was Theology of the Body.
Wow.
Now, I'm not smart enough to go through his whole book, so there was a guy that wrote like a summary of it.
Sure.
And he talks about how we do not talk about sexuality enough.
Absolutely.
And so when we learn God's view of sexuality and what He really designed that to be, and how it's a gift from God and it's a good thing.
It
and
is a gift.
I just think as the church, we've got to go there, and we don't.
Right.
And so I think one of the first places to start is to go there, and that's going to give us a stronger why, so that then the what's and the hows of how we're going to tackle the symptoms of a broken sexual world is stronger. But I think getting leaders together, getting churches together, pastors together, and starting with why, starting with, well, wait a minute, what is the way it's supposed to be? Now, this is why this is way off, and how are we now going to fight that evil network with a good one? And so I think the education piece there is really where I'm at right now.
Man, he just left us with such a major thought. I mean, Gosh, we could unpack that for another hour or two, but I definitely agree with you that as a church body, as a faith community, we have to have these conversations of healthy sexuality, because we all know the root of trafficking is pornography. It starts there, and it just evolves out from there, and exploiting our children. There's just so many things that are the root of having an unhealthy view of sexuality. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thanks for having me today.
Thank you for what you do in our community and your involvement, not just saving souls, but you're literally in the trenches helping us to fight this fight. So thank you for that. Well, gosh, more about Pastor Lantz and RiverTree churches. You will definitely see all their contact information, their website information following this segment. Stay tuned, because we have more coming for you for the Community Freedom Summit. Welcome back to our Community Freedom Summit. What an amazing day this has been for us with Not For Sale and our wonderful partnership here with Walsh University.
Swords up.
See? And all the amazing leaders that we've had from this industry to come and educate all of you today on human trafficking, labor trafficking, and sex trafficking. So to end our time together, I didn't think of a better way to do this than to have Dr. Tim Collins, president of Walsh University, to take us to the very end of our summit. So welcome.
Kathie,
I
it's
know.
awesome to be here. Awesome to be with all of you. This opportunity to think about how we can serve others in a more impactful way. And thank you for the privilege to be here with you today.
Well, I have to really thank you, because I'm on your home turf today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for your students and your staff and just everybody that has a heart to see an end to human trafficking. So thank you for that, and allow us here. So let's get started. Let's talk about, because I mean, you're new to Walsh too.
I am new to Walsh, although I'm in my second rookie year.
Oh, it's second rookie year. Okay. Well,
year.
share with the community like your background and what brought you to Walsh.
Yeah, so I came to Walsh last year in August, and I had my rookie year last year.
Yes.
And people would say, "Oh no, it's not your rookie year; it's your freshman year."
Your freshman year.
And I'd say, "Well, no, it's not my freshman year, because it's about an attitude.
Absolutely.
And it's about how you think about, using the gifts that you have in a way to help others. Think about the things that make you happiest." And I think you're likely, or for those of you at home, think about what makes you happy. I think it's probably something that you're doing for someone.
Absolutely.
And so I would tell people, so when you're a freshman, the attitude is, well, I should step back, watch what happens, feel it out, sort it out. But when you're a rookie, you've already made the cut, you've made the team, but you want the starting job. You want to get right in there. So it's that sort of an attitude that I've come to Walsh. So I come from Johns Hopkins University. I came here from Baltimore, Maryland. I retired there after 15 years, and prior to that, I had a career in the military. So retired twice. This is my retirement gig, Kathie.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
My first career was about serving now. I think one of the things that I learned in the Air Force was our lives are indeed big enough to take care of ourselves, to take care of our families, and to take care of others.
Yes.
And so that's what that first career was about, was the here and now. My time at Johns Hopkins University in the Applied Physics Laboratory, I worked on a lot of technologies that would be used by our first responders, by our war fighters, by those that are actually trying to defend this great country of ours and to help its citizens. So for me, that was about providing those tools for tomorrow. But when it comes really down to it, it's all about people. So the opportunity to be at Walsh is an opportunity to build leaders. And so I feel called to be here. This opportunity presented itself to come to Walsh University, to come here to North Canton, and to make a contribution to building leaders. If you think about all of the private and public companies and institutions around the country, the vast majority, 90% plus, are run by people who have had a college or university experience.
Sure.
In America, this is where we build leaders. This is why all of the world wants to come to America for this experience.
Right.
Because it's all about people that can help set the conditions for companies and businesses and nonprofits to help others. And so the opportunity to do that in a direct way for our students was just such a blessing for me. I do think we are called to develop our potential individually, to take our skills, our professional skills, and use them in new and different ways. And so the opportunity to be at Walsh, the opportunity to stand for the things that are important to us as a society, that are important to us as an independent faith-based institution, the opportunity to lead is just amazing. So it's great to be here and to be associated with nonprofits like yours, which is all about providing a voice to those that can't be heard.
Absolutely, and you're definitely building leaders here. That's what drew our organization to want to partner with Walsh. The staff and the students, they're so involved in the community, and we love that. And that does come down from, it starts from you, and it just trickles down to how you build and develop your leaders. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And so the university has a requirement for our students to engage in service, and it's a requirement in the sense that if you don't actually do service, you don't know what service is.
Absolutely.
And so how can you lead and help others if you haven't had a taste of it yourself? And so this experience to do that here is very much a part of our fabric here at Walsh University. Giving back is very much a part of our fabric.
Sure.
And so, this opportunity to partner with you and to stand for those that need someone to stand up. It also teaches our students how to be counted.
Absolutely.
We have students here, we have members of our community that have a food insecurity issue. And so we've opened up last year, we opened up a food pantry here on campus for our students. The community responded in a huge way. We're working on a clothing drive right now and a clothing opportunity. These are ways our students can stand up locally and help. We travel to Washington, D.C. and other places for the March for Life. These are places where we can go to have a national presence in standing up for a national. But what makes this so impactful for us is this is a global mission.
It is.
We're standing for people that are around the world. This is a global issue, and it teaches our students how to make a difference by where you are.
Absolutely.
The ancient philosopher tells us where you are is of no importance, only what you're doing there. So you provide us an opportunity to provide our students a way to have their voice heard.
I love that. And when you were sharing previously about how you've been, retired twice?
Twice.
But here you are.
Here I am, 25 professional moves.
Yes, and you're president of Walsh. I know just by having some time with you that you're a man of vision. And so what is your vision for Walsh University, especially because you're president of Walsh?
Yeah, so we're working on that in a formal way, as you can imagine.
Sure.
But I think I could simply say that Walsh is here to transform higher education. We're here to show a new way. I think, the education system that we have today was built for another era.
Absolutely.
This was coming out of World War II. We had everyone coming home, and we built up this whole structure, which became the engine that drove the success that America has. We have no other country in the world that's been as successful as we have. We have no other country in all of history that's been as generous as we are. And all this comes from having leaders that understand that our government can do some things, but the things that really matter, that really count at scale, are done by the business community. They make contributions right back into their community. So I think what COVID has shown all of us is that the way it was is not the way it's going to be. And so we're very disjointed right now. What you thought was stable and predictable is now very unstable. It's very disjointed. It's very unpredictable. And so we're going to take advantage of this and say, this is an opportunity for us to rethink how we do education, to rethink how we do higher education, to rethink how we develop leaders that can go out and immediately have impact. And that's not just for the whole world. We're going to start here in North Canton. We're going to transform higher education, but we're going to make a contribution right here in North Canton. Just this year, we kicked off an initiative to upskill some of our workforce that's here in the county, in Stark County, as well as the 8 counties that touch us. It's been a huge success. It was just meant to be a pilot to say, okay, will this work? It's just been phenomenal in what we've done in trying to help the workforce today that had an education maybe 10 or 15 years ago. They're out raising their families, they're doing honorable work, they're doing the kinds of things that drive our community, making contributions in our community. They don't have time to go back to college and rethink and redo all this education. So we're working on ways that we can help them sort of pinpoint and give them new skills, open up new ideas, new creativity, innovation where they are. Again, making a difference where they are. So Walsh University, going forward, we're celebrating our 60th year today. This is our birthday this year, Kathie. Can you believe that?
Exciting. No, I can't.
So Walsh wouldn't be here 60 years without the local community, and Walsh is very much a part of the community. We feel that community. We are the hometown University of North Canton, Ohio. So we're very committed to making sure that for the next 60 years, we continue to make contributions right here at home, as well as thinking about how can we do that globally.
Absolutely. Why do you think it's important for Walsh to be involved in the fight against human trafficking?
It is important because, one of our values is at Walsh University, we do believe in an education that is values-based.
Sure.
And so the idea of human dignity and the right of each and every person to, be shown that dignity built in the image of God is very much a part of what we are. So we will go anywhere and will be involved in anything that furthers this social teaching that every single person matters.
I love that.
And so the idea is that we collectively come together and use the talents that we've been given in the way for which our purpose is. We all have a life purpose. Discovering that life purpose is part of what we're to do. This is my third career. As I said, I'm still trying to figure out what is my life's purpose. I'm not sure I've quite sorted this out yet. I tell our seniors, what is your life plan? What are you going to do after graduation? And they go through the whole process of this, that, or the other thing. And I say, I have bad news for you. This is not a one and done. You're going to do this over and over again. So as we're constantly assessing and thinking about what we're doing, I think it's important that we find ways to make a difference. So this partnership gives us an opportunity to do that. And it connects us to an issue that, regrettably, this is not going to be solved overnight. We're the flash mentality. We want everything one and done. It's over, game over, what was the score? And then we forget about it. This has been around for a long time.
Absolutely.
And so this is a lifelong problem, and the contributions we can make to it are actually lifelong as well. Right? This is only the second year Walsh has been privileged enough to be involved in this. But when we're here celebrating our 120th, right, it'll be our 62nd time that we're participating in this effort.
Absolutely.
We just think it's just that important. That in fact is likely the most important thing we do is helping our students understand that how we behave and how we act and how we treat others comes first.
It does, and I love that as part of our partnership, you have a program called the Blue In Scholars. So if you don't mind just sharing.
This is an exciting program. It's a competitive program. So when our students are thinking about coming to Walsh University, we have separate open house where we talk about the Blue In Scholars. It's named for one of our brothers, and the idea is they come together as a cohort, and they take a problem, a global problem, and then they move through all 4 years of their education, and they keep coming back to this problem.
Wow.
So whatever class they're taking, how does chemistry affect water if water is their issue? And they'll do that. They'll travel globally to go see exactly where these issues are playing out in real time. And it's an opportunity for our students to understand this intersection between the theory and the practice. This is how it should be. Oh, but this is actually how it is.
Hands-on.
And so what the Blue Ins will do in this partnership is they're going to spend 4 years and they're really going to learn all the different faces of this issue. Where does this come from? Where does it start? How does it perpetuate itself? Why does this keep going on? Where other human beings are allowing other human beings to have such misery. And where's the value proposition in what they're doing? And then what can they do about it? And we have to start somewhere, and so we'll start locally, and then we can move nationally and eventually go internationally like A21 today is. It's this international opportunity. And so the Blue In Scholars, they're some of our best, they're some of our brightest. It'll be a very focused 4 years. And what we have found is the issue that they pick up as freshmen, they stay with it long into adulthood. Right. So, and then with other colleagues, we have some that they go off into the Peace Corps because they discovered this is really what makes them tick.
So like lifelong advocates.
It definitely is lifelong impact.
Yes.
And it can definitely be lifelong, advocacy. And I think that that's a really important word because it's about problem solving too.
Absolutely.
We can start with first let's stand up. First let's let other people recognize the nature of the problem.
Right.
And then let's all do a little be introspective and think about what can I do to work on that. I mean, here in Ohio, we have national fame for human trafficking moving through our state. That is not a good thing.
It's not.
It's happening right outside our roads, all over the place. It's happening in truck stops. What are the signs? What are the signals? Are we actually walking right past the problem and we don't even know it because we haven't been educated and tuned into that? So part of this for our entire community, that's why as we think about the walk and what we're going to do later next month, we're going to honor all of the restrictions that we need to for COVID. We want to keep people safe. We've been very focused on student success as well as the well-being of the community. We're now a minority institution. I don't know if you know this, Kathie, but
I did not know that.
Most of the colleges and universities in the country have walked away from face-to-face education. They've walked away from residential life. And we are fighting tooth and nail every minute, every day to do the best we can to make sure that we keep this going. Education must keep going. I think higher education is actually part of the solution to so many of these problems we have here in the nation. But the way we're going to do it is, since we all can't come together for the one big walk like we had the opportunity last year, we're going to do it in pods. It's a pod concept. So the baseball team over here, the drama club over there, the corral over there. And so we're going to be moving around. We're going to be out and about. You can see other people. We're not all on top of each other, but we're silently, this is all done in silence.
It is.
And this is a moment for reflection. It's a moment to think about what this really means, what we're really standing for, as we think about what can I do after this moment to continue to keep attention on this and maybe, make a difference. And you think about it, if one person, as a result of this, just is tuned into this and makes a save at a rest stop, at a rest area because they recognize something's not quite right, don't get involved yourself, but know enough to call law enforcement.
Absolutely, yes.
To, bring in help, don't put yourself in danger. If we could save one life, what a difference that would make just for that one person, as well as reinforce how important it is that all of us take ownership on this.
And this is why we're in partnership with Walsh, because our organization is all about action-oriented. We don't want to just have the education and the knowledge. We want to be able to take that
and put it into practice.
Yes, and put it into practice, and that's exactly what you guys do here. That's why our partnership is so amazing. So thank you again for just having that heart of taking the education and putting it into practice and teaching all the students here how to be effective leaders. So thank you for that.
No,
but I do want to, before we wrap up, I do want to talk about what are the plans for Walsh for 2021? Anything big and exciting coming up?
Yeah, well, I think, right now the biggest and most exciting thing we can do is just try to keep doing what we do best, and that's educating students.
Yes.
That's doing it in mixed modalities. That's doing it face-to-face. That's doing it, in the online or the remote mode. We're going to spend some time. We're going to kick off our celebration on November 17th, which is our Founders Day, which is 60 years ago when the brothers welcomed the first class here. So we'll be talking about some exciting things that we have. Just a little taste of it for anybody that drives by the campus. We're building a stadium.
I saw that.
A brand new football field. We've had a football team here now for more than 25 years. They've never had a home game. They suit up, they get on the bus, and they drive over to the Hall of Fame. Now they're going to dress up, they're going to suit up, they're going to come outside, they're going to go underneath the tunnel and go right across the street, and they're going to do it. So it's a new turf field. We're going to start building the stadium around it. For our athletic teams, we have 23 athletic teams, so it'll be used for lacrosse, it'll be used for soccer, it'll be used for football. Very exciting. I think that brings a whole different energy when we can have all of these hometown sports right here on our campus. So that's very exciting for us. A couple other little things, but we'll save those for November 17th.
Okay.
As we talk
He's giving
about
us a teaser, you guys.
Where our future is. But look, if Walsh University, we're going to transform America's, we're going to transform higher education, we're going to do some things differently than everyone else.
Sure.
And we're going to build a little and experiment a little. This is what it takes.
Yeah.
It takes, the courage to have a little bit of guts, if you will, to take a chance, to risk it. And as long as we're convinced that the risk is offset by the gains for our students, the gains for our faculty. You know, we want to have a vibrant intellectual life and have this whole person concept. We're going to take the risks to make it even better, more distinctive for our students so that they can be more impactful the moment they graduate. We don't really want our students to wait 5 or 10 years till they really have impact.
Right.
We want them to have an impact out the door.
Oh, and
So
they're going
that's
to.
where we're going.
With your
That's
leadership,
where we're going.
there's no
Well,
doubt
it-
in my mind.
It takes all of us. This is a
I
village, this is
know.
a team.
Yes.
It takes everyone, and we have some amazing people, you know, all across Cav Nation
do.
in a variety of roles. The one thing that, you know, I learned in my first rookie year was really how deeply this community cares about Walsh and its students.
We do.
So, you know, with that kind of a commitment, we're not a number. Our faculty's not a number. Our staff's not a number. Our students are not a number. We're real people. With the mask, it's hard to connect. You know, it's a little bit dehumanizing,
For
and
sure.
so we're all struggling with that, eyes smiling and all of that. But it is about each other. It is about the relationships. And so one of the things that I hope our students learn is that leadership at its very core, its very foundation, is about the melting into a relationship with others. This partnership with you teaches them how they can actually melt into a relationship
Right.
of someone they haven't quite met,
Yeah.
but someone they're trying to help.
Absolutely.
And to be that voice, to be that strength, to be that hope that, you know, there is a way that we can end this. And look, we've had a lot of success with this, right?
Yeah, we have.
We're not just beating our head against the window, but we're fighting the forces of evil here. We
are.
should not kid ourselves.
Right.
And they are formidable forces, but we know the story, we know how this all
That's
ends,
right.
and we win.
We do. Well, gosh, this partnership is a win. So thank you so much for allowing us on your campus and allowing this partnership. And thank you for your time today.
No, my pleasure.
And you guys, we're just so thankful and excited that you joined us today. We're thankful
you.
that you're a part of our Community Freedom Summit. And we hope you learned an awful lot today that maybe you just didn't know. So stay tuned because we've got our big call to action at noon. So make sure you are a part of that.